Okay, good evening everybody. It's been a little while since I've done one of these, and I apologize for that because I believe in the last video I'd said I was going to do my best to get on top of them, and I seem to have done the exact opposite. So, as is usually the case for these, and by way of an introduction to maybe people who are new to the series, this is intended to be something that's a little bit more relaxed. It's supposed to be something that you put on when you want to go to sleep, or if you want to get some work done and maybe not pay as much attention to what I'm saying so much as just to enjoy all of the nice sounds. Of course we'll be playing the game, but we're not going to have any rush. We're not going to be trying to do anything too special. Well, we'll try and do something special, but we're not going to try and beat any records. Now, when's the last time I did one of these? June 11th, it's almost been a month, so I'm feeling a bit embarrassed for this. But let's review the position that we find ourselves in, and we'll see if we can make something of our new red home. I hope
resources are low. New colonists have arrived.
For those of you who are fans of this series, I hope that this finds you well. I'm still trying to find the right settings, but I hope that this one will give us a nice view of the game. It's certainly a very beautiful one. I'm not able to do the... this would make a great little animation. I'm not able to do the frame rate that I was hoping for at the moment, but I think we can still probably do something with this. So it looks like I am committed to the decisions that I made in terms of setting up my colony. I might have actually wanted to go for even more specialization, but I'm not gonna worry about things that I can't change. Instead, let's take a look at what we're going to be up against, and we'll see what we can do with the situation that we're in right now. I also wanted to take a quick minute and say that one of the things that I started off with this series for was to basically work through some of the work difficulties that I was having, to play something that's relaxing and optimistic. And I know yesterday, I have a feeling that I made someone who might be a viewer of this series, I don't know. I probably made them feel a lot worse than I had intended to, so I wanted to take a minute and say that if you're listening, and you'll probably know who you are if I'm saying this, or if you're listening to this, I hope that this does a little something to try and, I don't know, reverse the course. I hope that it's something that lets you relax and maybe take your mind off of some of the things. And for those of you who I can't give that personalized grading to, whether things are going quite well for you or whether you've got some stresses going on, let's take a minute. We'll enjoy a fun game. We'll maybe just take it easy, and we'll do our best not to let too many stresses keep us from having an enjoyable time. Okay, so the game would like me to build a research lab, which is not a bad call. It'll definitely help me get the technology that I need to move forward. I seem to recall that we missed out on the milestone because of the dust storm. Yeah, Russia got that, so we have a hope of the first Martian board or producing food. But the important thing here is that I'm not going to stress too much about the objectives. If I get them, it's great. If I don't get them, I'm not going to be too worried about it. We might run out of power as they arrive, but hopefully we won't. We'll have a meteor storm, so they chose a good time to come visit. And let's think a little bit. Yeah, this is a good question, actually. What do I want my people to do? What are they? Oh, that's right. I probably brought in a bunch of geologists so that they can all work in the rare metals extractor. So let's just take a quick minute here and see the composition of my we've got a medic, we've got 3 geologists, and then we've got a bunch of people who don't really have any specialization. That's fine. That's sort of working as intended. Okay, now we're playing the Terraforming faction. This is going to be a bit of a complicated one for me, but here's what I've decided in terms of the playthrough. So we'll get through the Founders stage. What I'm going to need to do is start picking on some specializations. For instance, right now, that seems to be geologists. There's actually one other thing I'd like to take a look at in terms of... Alright, so... we want to make sure that drinking is taken care of because of the geologist specialization, and I seem to have neglected that. So the next big question is, do I want to have a small space bar, or do I want to have a big one? A big one I don't think I'll have enough space for. Yeah, I'm a little worried that this won't have enough, I won't be able to do as much with this, but we'll start it off in the center, and we'll see where things go. So, on pause for now. We'll let our good folks stop by. Let's take a minute and see if my transport can pick up any goodies off the ground.
Scanned.
Oh, looks like there's some metal on the ground, so let's get them to pick up anything that's on the ground. I bet I can do better than that. Okay, so sector I2 scan. Nothing too special going on there. This is a research boost. I wasn't sure if that was for the rover or not. So right now we're just gonna get a bit of an idea in terms of what's going on inside of our region. I believe I had a plan to create a tunnel. This would give me access to water. That's probably my highest priority right now. Oh yes, I wanted to take a minute and look at the mission profile. So, like I said, we're not gonna rush any particular goals. If we get them, that's fine. I'll be happy to do so. But I'm going to focus a little bit more on the mission, and this is of course because I was given a copy of Green Planet from Paradox, so thank you very much for that. But one of the big challenges is that I've actually done very little of the terraforming because it seems to be a little bit of a later game kind of a technology. So what I think we're going to do, getting technology is good. Greenhouse gases should be pretty straightforward, so I think probably these will be the first 2 that we take care of, and we'll try and maintain the colony. I won't rush the expansion like I tend to do, because that tends to result in me running out of food, running out of other resources. And so my immediate term goals are going to be building a connection to water. Now, one of the funny things here, of course, is that let's just take a quick look at where my drone coverage is. So I want to make sure that the drone coverage sort of takes care of everything. One ideal might be a drone hub like this. And what this would do so I just want to make sure that I have some overlap. Yeah, so if I do something like this,
Anomaly found.
this would give me access to the water, in addition to setting me up with the tunnel. Okay, so we've got something for the RC Explorer to do. Might be a little dangerous. We'll get it moving, but we should keep an eye on what it's doing just in case just in case it winds up going to a place that it shouldn't. I wonder if I can flatten even more. I guess I don't really need to. We'll worry about the second dome a bit later. I know I had some plans for that, but I don't exactly remember them right now, so. Yeah, so we'll focus on getting the technology that we can. So science buildings seem like a good next step. And then greenhouse gases, I believe those are going to require fuel. Right. So I want power and fuel, and of course I'm short on a few of these technologies. So. Okay, now, we're low on power, we're low on water, we're low on oxygen. I'm a little surprised on those last two because we're generating surpluses of both. I'm assuming it has something to do with my storage. Now this is a pretty important moment for us because we're finally charging up our batteries. My hope is that we'll be at capacity. We only have a surplus of about 30, a little less than 30 as a matter of fact. So it's possible that that we're not actually going to be able to accomplish what we want, but let's just take a moment and see. So I've turned off the greenhouse gas factories. That probably wasn't the smartest thing for me to start up, but I wasn't quite sure how they worked. Now, I'm producing fuel somewhere. Okay, so these guys are... they're doing what I want them to do. We're a bit short on polymers, so I might want to consider bringing a new ship back. A supply ship back, but we'll leave that be until we absolutely need it. And what else? Let's open the spacebar in the evening as well. Actually, you know what? We don't need that open in the evening because we just have a morning shift. Okay, so let me think a little bit about what our next few steps are going to be. Water's okay. Oh, where's my... We're on the highway to the danger zone, but I don't know if it'll take them 20 hours to get there or not. So, I do eventually want to produce food in the colony. One of the big decisions I need to make is whether or not I connect these domes together or not. That seems to make as much sense as anything. We can maybe say that this dome is going to be focused on amenities. With that in mind, actually, it might have made more sense for me to build a big space bar. In fact, I'm not going to set this up this way right now, but let's say we've got basic dome 1. It's uneven terrain. I'm not 100% clear if I'm going to be able to smooth that out. Actually, you know what? We can check that right now. So yeah, it looks like I do have enough space to build multiple domes. The question is whether or not I want to actually do that. It does make a lot of sense to build one sort of in this area so that we can mine metal. But am I going to be able to reach that? No, I'm not. So maybe we shouldn't try. So this could be a farming dome. I would need to have a good connection to water, of course. Let's make this only open during the afternoon. My reasoning here is that'll maximize the number of people who are available. Okay. There's nothing for the dozer to do. This is already flattened. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? This isn't the most exciting thing in the world, but I'm going to get him to load up on waste rock and we'll... Or, no, I won't. I might want to get rid of this large dumping site. Gives me another place to put my... another place to put my domes. Actually, that was right on the border. That probably wasn't too smart of me, but decision's been made. Okay, so if I can, let's play around with this a little bit. There's actually a very helpful bug where if you clicked on this and then on, it would basically sort of superimpose this the radius of the drone hub. Oh, never mind. It does report it. So yeah, this is a great spot for this, just because it'll allow me to build up the water. The other possibility, I could try and be really bold. Just put that tiny little sliver in between the two, and that would get me in range of a... Well, you know, this would allow me to build a science dome here. And it wouldn't actually need to be all that close. I could even do something like this. I'd still have the overlap, and we'd be able to build the dome. So I'm going to put this one down. Now, it's going to take us a while for this actually to be accomplished. We also need to bring power to it, of course. And what does my technology look like? Because I know there's a tech that if you research it, you get bonuses to the number of drones. It looks like we don't have it. That's fine.
Anomaly found.
Okay, so more gifts from the heavens. We're definitely taking life into our own hands by investigating during the storm, but hasn't cost me yet. So in order...
Research complete.
Nope.
Anomaly analyzed.
Good news. Alright, so we've got a couple of slots available now. So we've got Explorer AI. This should be a pretty high priority for me. Generate 100 per sol for each RC Explorer vehicle. Multiple vehicles result in collaboration losses. So we're actually going to dump productivity training for a bit. AI specifically tailored for our explorers will think for itself, gathering only the data that they have deemed could be of interest. The above will greatly contribute to our research initiatives. So then we'll requeue productivity training because it will make my geologists a bit more efficient. And what do I want my last research priority to be? Ideally something that costs 1,000, but we don't have too many of those anymore. We don't have any of those anymore, actually. So, I could find new planetary anomalies, but we're not quite ready to take advantage of those yet. So next up, we could get a Moxie upgrade that would increase my oxygen production. That would be pretty good. The decommission protocol would also be helpful in a couple of ways. I think in this case, though, let's start with a Moxie upgrade, and then we'll sort of carry on as I don't know, as time sort of recommends certain approaches to us. Okay, so I think it's already on its way to just wanted to make sure I had that queued up properly. I have no reason to think it wouldn't have been, but I'm paranoid. Okay, so let's see if there's any other goodies I can pick up. So I've got a little bit of metal lying on the ground. I do want those tasty polymers though, so let's start with those. Again, we'll build a sort of a supply route. Now at some point I'm going to be able to generate my own polymers, but that's going to require water and fuel, both of which are pretty scarce at the moment. So I'm just going to take my time, be patient. This is looking increasingly attractive. So we've got a 15 and a 20% location. So if I could just plop down a nice dome here, I'd get some big research bonuses. 35% bonus to research. Of course, that's going to be a pretty far off accomplishment. I am slightly curious. Let's get this fella to charge himself up. And what I would like to know is how far away from home I can send them. Also, how's our power? 478? It's almost certainly we're at our cap. We are getting a little shy on electronics and polymers. The good news is the polymers will be taken care of by my transport, so we've got a bit of a lease on life on that. Okay, so what I want to see is whether or not this guy can head out and build what he needs to. Now there's a question as to whether or not I want him to build that. That's another question for later. I'm going to leave the concrete extractor alone for now. We did have a bit of a concrete problem and we're not generating that much, but polymers are a very precious resource right now, so I think it's better for me just to leave things alone for the time being. This will change over time, but for now I'm gonna settle for my existing concrete extraction. I wanted to see if there was some possibility in terms of revealing what the GHGs were. It may not actually generate any on its own. I was a little unclear on that. And it looks like our water and oxygen are getting to where they need to be, so that's a bit of good news. So we certainly have the capability of getting a drone out there. I have a feeling they wouldn't have a problem getting this construction ready to go. Again, I'm not ready to rush this. And the key reason for that is it may be that by the time I need to build that, we get the bonus to the rovers, which give either a self-sufficient sort of a self-sufficient drone hub, or alternatively a boost to the number of workers, and so that's free drones essentially. And I'm not going to be building that tunnel. That tunnel's going to need 30 machine parts in addition to the 80 concrete and 20 metal.
Research
and then on top
complete.
of that,
Anomaly analyzed.
I am going to need to make sure that I have a way of maintaining this tunnel. Okay, so I got my turbines. Again, I need to pick a tech that I want. 1500 is best for me, I think. Cargo space is kind of tempting, but I think my higher priority at the moment is to actually get my scientists and botanists a bit better. And the reason for me saying that, the botanists are going to be vital to bringing enough or getting enough food on the colony, and they'll probably be the next batch of people that I bring in. So the quote is, "Hell yeah, I'm a botanist. Fear my botany powers." Of course, it's worth reflecting that we're going to be waiting a while for these technologies. Right now, we're generating 200 every turn, and it's going to cost us 1500 for autonomous sensors. So, and then of course we've got Explorer AI. So we have essentially 25 days between these on their own. Or I think I got that wrong. It's more like 15 days. Anyways, I'm not going to hold my breath on these. Although, of course, meteor storms have a tendency to give me nice little goodies. I'm not 100% sure about this scanning for Sector E3, but the reason I'm doing it is I just like a clear idea in terms of all the flat land that I have in my immediate area. And then what we might do is start exploring this area around here. But I definitely want to keep an eye on sort of this immediate area, just because it's going to be the most likely source of expansion, either for metal, concrete, research, anything along those lines. Let's take a quick look at our colony. How is everybody feeling? They're okay. I think the comfort needs to be a bit higher if I'm going to have any hope for kids. It'd be great if I got a Martian born, but like I said, no rush. Trying to get a better angle on these two, but it's a little tricky with the controls. It's a very tough decision. Do you want potatoes, carrots, lemons? Is that a cucumber? Eggplant? Tomato? A cartwheel? I think that's supposed to be an orange. An onion? Lettuce? He doesn't like any of those options. What is he gonna get? He's looking at the carrots. Those are enormous carrots, by the way. Everybody in chat busy saying, what? Just play that game. I might speed things up a little bit just so we can get through the Founders stage, but so I'm going to need electronics at some point. I'm trying to hold off if I can on bringing in imports. Excuse me. One, because it's going to involve probably me building another landing pad. Or putting the other one down in an inconvenient spot. Okay, let's get some more hunks of metal. This is almost really just about me. This particular pickup is just in case I want to build a dome. What else? Okay, some metal up here. Metal here. I'm sure there's going to be lots of little goodies in this area because of the meteor storm, but most of it's going to be in the unexplored areas. We'll have to leave that for another time. So yeah, one worry I do have is about the food. That's also kind of why I want to keep the... That's why I want to keep the supply rocket. I want to keep that as a sort of a last-minute choice. Also, a couple important things. So one, I wanted to make sure my stored power was where it needed to be. It is. We're on our way to getting the oxygen and the water that we need. Now, if we had a dust storm, that would be a problem. But right now, we seem to be doing all right. I will eventually need electronics. We're doing a bit better for polymers. So I think what the next supply rocket's really going to be focused on is getting our next few steps of infrastructure built. So, for instance, I would love to be able to build this tunnel. I'd also love to maybe have a rover in the area to be able to maintain this, the metal mine, the water deposits. Looks like this guy worked a little too hard. Let's watch his friend sort him out. There we go. Maybe get a little zap to the food, warm it up. It's like a microwave. By the way, one little touch I never noticed was looking at the drone, hold on to the bar while it gets charged up. That's a nice little touch. Ooh, I like the details on this. There's always nice little touches inside the game, if you just take the time to look.
Sector scanned.
It's one of the
Anomaly
reasons
found.
I'm fond of using this game for these kinds of streams. It's not my only option, but I do tremendously enjoy it, and I find it a very relaxing game, very appropriate music. Sometimes I feel like going to Quantum Sonics, although I believe this song is one of my favorites, if it's the one I think it is. And sometimes it's nice just to have me be the only voice. But for now, I'm just going to leave you with the sound of one of the tracks I really enjoy on the Surviving Mars soundtrack. Get to see the moon on the surface. Get to see the meteorite in the background. It's one of my favorite things about the game, just being able to take a minute and enjoy what you built, however small.
Resources are low.
And then the game comes crashing in and says that everybody's gonna starve. I wonder if we'll get a chance to see anybody. Oh, here's a nice little moment. We've got Sai Gandhi enjoying a nice bit of evening relaxation. Homer Lincoln, both just keeping to themselves by the pond. We can take a look at the view that our friend's taking a look at. One of the first humans on Mars just enjoying the landscape. You can see the dust storms in the background. Clear Martian night. And I'm not sure what direction this is, but we might get to see a sunrise in a little bit. Let's see what happens. I thought he was gonna go away at the best part. One really interesting point is I'm actually recording this at sunset. The light from the sun on Earth is coming exactly from the direction that it is in the game right now. It's a really interesting effect. Imagine what this will look like when somebody finally gets to be on Mars and see this. Just trying to find where the Martian sun is. Alright. My colonists can enjoy a time to stop and smell the roses, but
there's more to the barren environs of the Red Planet than meets the eye. A veritable treasure trove of undiscovered knowledge and wonder. So long as you know where to look.
even the tiniest simple-looking rock can contain the answers to mysteries which perplex the human mind for generations. Sometimes it takes just a simple discovery to assure us of the vastness of the universe and encouragement to make us look beyond the boundaries of our existence and into the future. The following texts have been revealed in the research screen: Drone Swarm and Topology AI. So, drone hubs can be constructed with an additional 2 drones, and the maximum number of drones is increased to 8 by 80. So this one we're going to get rid of magnetic filtering and systematic training, because being able to get extra drones for that hub is a little more important, and then we'll make our botanists more efficient. Alright, good work. Let's bring them back. So again, I want to keep an eye on food. If it becomes an emergency, we do have one of these supply pods, but it'd be nice if I can do a cargo rocket and just plan what my needs are going to be for the next little while. Definitely 30 machine parts. Probably want some polymers. Let's think a little bit about what we might want to build. So we would definitely want to extract water, so that's going to need machine parts. We've got, oh, we can build the fungal farm. I wasn't paying attention to that, so we'll definitely need electronics. I also didn't realize that we could build just a regular farm. Okay. So I think what we're going to do, I'm going to bring, now this is an important thing for me to remember. If I bring in botanists, that means that they're going to want luxury taken care of. Fortunately, I know we're okay for that, so. By the way, comfort level's getting good spots. The women don't seem to be as happy though. Oh, Mira's happy. So we might still get a baby. But once we can bring in more colonists, I think the fungal farm's going to be a priority, as well as filling up some of these jobs. Fungal farm is going to need 6 botanists. I've got space for 12 more people unless I add another apartment complex, which I think I will do. Alright, let's find something for my I don't exactly need the metal right now, but it doesn't hurt to have a nice big stockpile. We'll get through 70 pretty quickly, I think. And what else? Another nice attractive spot for a research. Could you imagine if this just wound up in a slightly different location? Oh, you know what? We still might be able to pull this off. Yeah, would have been wonderful if we could just get a dome sitting in the middle of all of this. I'll try and get in close, but I think doesn't quite have the majesty I was hoping for. It rotates a little fast. All right. You know, one thing I didn't realize, I should have commented on this before. In terms of the recording program, it never actually tells me how many minutes I've been recording, so I have a feeling that these videos are going to be a little bit shorter than the ones that I normally do. And of course the drawback is that there's also sometimes less that happens in the episodes, so I need to find a bit of a better balance for that, but I'm going to try and be a little conscious of the time, because I haven't had dinner yet, but I'm also not feeling, I don't really feel like I'm in too much discomfort. This is fascinating. So I don't think that spot that we were looking at before. Let's go find his seat, I think. Yeah, that wasn't the dust storm. No, it's very photogenic. He was watching not sure if that's oil or exactly what. I don't know where the dinosaurs came from, but whatever's producing this polymer.
Anomaly found.
Oh, that's always good news. Alright, so that's going to bring us a little bit closer to our drone swarm. Among other technologies, of course, we've got quite a bit. Autonomous sensors, Explorer AI. Explorer AI is actually a particularly important one for us because it will give us access to technology a bit faster. And it's been 3 days that's gone by. I think we're just going to admire the look of the colony. And as long as there's no other pressing business, I think we're going to speed things up a bit. Always keeping an eye on our food, but I'm doing my best not to bring a rocket in. Looks like we're close to being refueled as well, so. By the way, if you are somebody who enjoys watching these streams and you have a favorite radio station from Surviving Mars, you can always feel free to leave a comment and say exactly what station you'd like to hear. I mean, that'll go for a few other things as well. You're always welcome to comment on how you feel about this series or what you like, what you'd like to see changed. But I'm very fond of the default soundtrack, but I also know not everybody gets to enjoy the some of the other ones like the Mars Vision or the Quantum Sonics. So I'm happy to change up the music if that would make it more enjoyable. All right. So again, just picking up a few more metals. Let's see how my colonists are feeling. So overall, comfort's actually taken a bit of a decline. I don't know if it says any kind of average. Yeah, average is about 61. For threshold's 55 comfort. We've got 3 men, 4 women.
4 females to each male.
Actually, this will be one point where I do invite a comment if you know what movie I was referencing. I am always delighted to hear.
Research complete. Anomaly analyzed.
Okay, great news here. So we'll bring our Explorer back home. We got our Explorer AI, which makes me happy, and we've got 2 free slots. So we can do the decommission protocol, we can do the low G drive. I think I'm going to change my priorities a little bit. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take magnetic filtering and fuel compression. I'm delaying on decommission protocol this time just because I'd like to be a little more thoughtful with my building. Okay, and we're getting low on our electronics. So I'm particularly interested in looking at my food Let's get the Martian landscape while we're... Oops, that was a little close. Trying to find the best look. I think we'll stick with this for a little bit.
Sector scanned. Anomaly found.
So a little... we're getting close to the halfway point, so I'm pretty sure we'll wind up with a bouncing baby boy or girl. I'd also, if I can, like to bring in some more, oops. I'd also like to bring in some more sensor towers, but I'm going to need electronics for that, so again, we're holding off.
Building a new home on an alien world, that takes guts, to say the least.
After all, purpose is the strongest long-term driver. Since arriving on Mars, Doris Clark's enthusiasm has proven to be above average, even by founder norms, and the prodigious productivity displayed can be boiled down to one simple explanation. Doris Clark really loves what Doris Clark is doing. Founder Doris Clark has earned the enthusiast trait. That's the spirit. Let's find this lovely woman. We're gonna follow a day in the life of our enthusiastic Doris Clark. Hopefully the nursery's given you some ideas here, Doris. What is this? Oh, the infirmary. Alright, let's get back to following Doris. I sort of wonder about this design decision to have the colonists facing away from the founder. It'd be interesting. What would it be like if you turn the chairs around? Do you want the people looking at each other, looking at the founder, or do you want them sitting and looking outwards? Maybe I should have considered where I put the statue. It's kind of hidden amongst all of our other buildings. Alright, well, Doris is not doing too much. Oh, important thing. Let's take the Shanyang and launch that. So there's really no good reason for me not to bring my new supply ship in. Doris works at the diner. Okay. So I'm not going to pause the game, but let's think a little bit about what the next few goals are going to be. So one is going to be to produce the fungal farm. So I'm going to need 3 electronics for that. I'm also going to want to... Oh, you know what? I should have gotten a shot of that rocket leaving. That was my bad. I'm also going to need 30 machine parts for the tunnel. Now that tunnel's going to be a way away, so I don't need to worry so much about it, but it's good to keep in mind. Obviously I'm going to want food. And a dome would require... what? We need another 10 for a dome, plus of course things like apartments. So we'll say 16 as a minimum. Okay. So still have plenty of space. Okay, well, with that in mind, let's bring a commander. And what else do I want? Do polymers make sense? No, machine parts, because I just brought enough to build the tunnel, but I'm actually going to want a stockpile. Yes, I'm happy with this setup. a little shy on polymers, but I also have quite a few, so... Now, it's also possible that I'll get extra food from bringing more colonists in, but I really would not want the survival of this colony to be resting on me bringing in more people demanding food, so... How are we for water? We're doing alright. So I need to think a little bit about what the drone hub needs for power. So it needs 3. So one temptation is actually to build a wind turbine. 10 seems a little extreme. I think just sort of a single wind turbine. We'll obviously connect it to the grid. Oh, actually,
Anomaly analyzed.
now that I think of it, we'll probably also need power for the extractors, so I'll make a decision a little bit later.
There's more to the barren environs of the red planet than meets the eye. A veritable treasure trove of undiscovered knowledge and wonder. So long as you know where to look.
Excuse me. Even the tiniest, simple-looking rock can contain the answers to mysteries which perplex the human mind for generations. Sometimes it takes just a simple discovery to assure us of the vastness of the universe, and encouragement to make us look beyond the boundaries of our existence and into the future. The following texts have been revealed on the research screen: advanced Martian engines and utility crops. So, utility crops would be helpful, but we're quite a way away from building a farming dome, so we'll maybe just leave that be for now. What are some other things that I can think about? Well, I don't really need to research any of these right now. Lower fuel might be a higher priority than fuel compression, but the thing is, this is more expensive, so I think I'm going to hold off on it, as useful as it would be. But now that we've got water reclamation and utility crops on the horizon, we can definitely start thinking a bit about building some more efficient farming. I looked at the wrong... Alright, average comfort going up, so good news there. Yeah, I think securing a food supply is priority number 1. And then I think number 2, we might try and get something of a manufacturing base down. Maybe we'll start doing polymers, because I have a feeling that we're going to be getting quite a bit of water coming in fairly rapidly. I'm not sure if I want to build another dome that does underground metals. It would be tempting, because what I can do is I can do... say like a basic dome like this. This would be my farming dome. And build another central dome. This would maybe be one that just carries a bunch of amenities and such. And then it would reach out to get underground metals. So there are a couple of mistakes that I made about this colony. What I should have done was kept it fairly minimalist in terms of the buildings. And then I should have chosen a more centralized, basically have a centralized one so that everybody can sort of live and work in that area. But it's not the end of the world, because I am going to need a place for my geologists to work. So, and of course, when I get the decommission protocol, things will be a little bit easier. So I'm going to get them to gather resources over here. These ones I might just do manually. We'll see how the game handles it. Alright, so I wasn't going to scan these because there's no way that I can directly access them. So let's say, because I know I'm going to be building some infrastructure around here, let's start seeing what's in that neighborhood. One thing that is nice about this location is it looks like there
Funding received.
aren't any, it looks like there aren't really any areas that are inaccessible to me. I think everything's just on one flat plane. Okay, let's bring the cargo rocket down. Let's watch from the colony, actually. This would be what you get to wake up to. Look at those hard-working geologists, not even looking at the ship arriving. Alright, so it looks like they've got 4 drones just kicking around, ready to do something. We can move them up ever so slightly. There's not really anything for them to do over on this side, so it keeps them in maintenance range for most of the buildings. Eventually I'm going to move them to build this and to maintain this, but no point in rushing. I also need to think a little bit about how I'm going to pursue my terraforming goals. Let's take a minute and look at those actually. Nope, that's not what I want. Let's take a look at my planetary view. Import greenhouse gases. Send a refurbished rocket to gather greenhouse gases from Earth's atmosphere and then dump them on Mars, improving the atmosphere of the planet. This action may cause toxic rains that are harmful to soil quality and plant life. So that is one thing I want to be careful about. I actually also want to start checking out some of these, like Project Excalibur, Project Archimedes are my 2 priorities. I didn't really want to bring in officers, but it's clear that Project Solar is going to require some. Yeah, this is actually a really interesting one. This might help me out. So, GHGs are probably my easiest to generate right now. Toxic rains. So I need 5% water, 55 in terms of warmth and atmosphere. So carbonate producers. Yeah. I think warming Mars will probably be the easiest thing for me to start off with. I am a little curious when they talk about loss of atmosphere, but we don't have carbonate processors anyway, as far as I can tell at least. Uh-oh. Looks like I neglected the casino complex. That's gonna cause some problems with comfort, I think. So hopefully this is a high priority for drones to fix. not instructed to repair. That's a pity. Well, I suppose it will be dealt with in its own time. So 3 and 5 for males and females.
Research complete. Milestone achieved.
For the first time, a human has been born on Mars. It's truly a unique miracle.
The colonists have always felt like a family, but what makes the family stronger and more united is the promise of new life and a better future. We have been truly blessed with a rewarding responsibility to carrying the torch of hope. Let this blooming of life serve as a symbol for all humans. Mars is no longer a dead world. The colony has been evaluated positively. Additional colonists can be called from Earth. Alright, so I'm going to have a little bit of storage problems. We're going to have one too many people. Hey, it was a girl. Prefecta Mercury. Okay. So I'm going to want to bring in 6 botanists. Okay, actually, let me just take a look at what are the things that I want to prioritize the most. So food is number 1. So fungal farm. In fact, I should probably get myself sorted out in that regard right away. I still want to make sure that it's close to the colony. So that's going to be 6 botanists. And ideally we'd get 2 more doctors. Okay, so let's say 6 botanists. 1, 2, 3, 4 more. 4 more non-specialists, 2 more doctors, and as many geologists as we can work out. Actually, because I've got a very terrible memory, I'm going to take a moment and see. Actually, you know what? I'm really sorry to do this because this is going to turn off the music. I need to tab out for a moment because it looks like something didn't work properly. Okay, interesting. So let me write this down just because I am a bit of a clown. Okay, so 6 botanists. 1, 2, 3. Non-specialists. 2 doctors, which would mean I don't think I have room for any more geologists. Now things may change depending on what's available on the rocket. But yes. All right. Looks like I'm going to have to lessen the restrictions when it comes to medics. So let's say age group. Middle Age is going to be tricky to deal with, but I think we can manage. Now, flaws. I don't want alcoholics. Chronic condition, maybe. We'll allow it. Gamblers, I definitely don't want. Yeah, I can be tolerant, but not that tolerant. And then perks. Definitely want to prioritize workaholics. Oh no. Made a mistake. Alright. So let's find my botanists first. Okay, so I need 2 more botanists. 1. Oh, youth is always good. So let's see all my botanist options. So first of all, we've got a few middle-aged, so we may have to change that. Fit adult, so we'll consider that. Rugged, sexy adult. Chronic conditions a little too much for me to handle right now. So I want to avoid glutton just because we're going to get into food problems if I do that. Okay, so obviously I've got 10 botanists now, so I would prefer to skew my candidates young. Okay, so I gotta get rid of 4. Okay, rugged's okay, but alright, so I've got my botanist choices. Now, I only need 4, specialists. So let's pick the best of the best. So we'll get rid of the chronic condition and the gluttons out. Alright, but it's more like the only thing that could be better would be as if they were youth. Okay, that's looking good. The sharp-eyed amongst you will notice that I have a high proportion of sexy females that I've been picking. It's not my choice, it's just what the game... Actually, I guess it technically is my choice. It's just the way the game made it. Alright, so what I'm just trying to do here is find the best traits that I can. So we've got... Okay, so we've got 2 youth. So religious is nice, but it's not like get rid of like other good candidates. Nice. Okay, so ideally 2 doctors. I think we only have 2 in the pool. Yeah. So coward. Okay, I can work with these. They'll get old, but we'll deal with that when the time comes. And away we go. And now we're going to enjoy some fireworks. It was Canada Day yesterday, so we got to have a few of these in the nation's capital. I wonder if fireworks work differently on the Martian surface. This is actually, for a very long time, I've been very curious about fireworks in, basically from an aesthetic point of view. I kind of want to know if there is a theory of fireworks, or if there is not a technical manual, obviously. There's something that you need to understand in terms of blowing up things in the sky. But just sort of an idea of, is there a best practice? Because clearly you don't just blow things up at random for a good fireworks show. There's a whole plan behind it. And I've always been fascinated about the choices that people make and whether or not there's an authoritative reference or it's just passed down among different groups. Okay, let's get my Explorer back home before something happens to it. And looks like we're all full, so we'll pick up what we can, and we'll drop it off.
Sector scanned. Anomaly found.
Oh, that's always good news. So looks like our Explorer is not quite ready to go home. Actually, they picked a great time to be in the neighborhood. And we'll queue them up for a return trip. So I think these give me extra points towards the tech, so. And we're gonna be waiting a while on this rocket, so I think probably what I'll wind up doing is bringing the passenger rocket down somewhere around here. Maybe off to the side like this, I'm not sure. I want to make sure that there isn't too much damage in terms of maintenance for bringing the passengers down. Now, I didn't keep very good track in terms of what the consumption was. I think we might have been able to get by without buying extra food, but, you know, food, water, electricity are those things you don't really want to play around with too much, so I stand by my decision. A tougher call is going to be when I decide to make another dome. In fact, I probably should have been a little more thoughtful in my placement of the fungal farm, but I think I can work with what we've got here. Yeah, a little something like that. I think I can make that work. And then the other bit of good news, I think, would be I can put down a farming complex basically anywhere along here. So that gives me room to build another apartment complex if I need to. And I'm fairly sure I will, actually. So one possibility I can explore is, let's say, I mean, this is going to be mining focused, fair enough. Eventually I'll start moving these service buildings. I'll move them into sort of the centralized dome. And we'll have an offshoot dome which will extract metal, and maybe we can build a machine parts factory. That'll probably be a good use of the metal. we could build a farm just off to the side. I need to think a little bit about the most efficient way for me to get those tunnels down, but I can worry about that a little bit later. Oh, our fungal farm's going up. Let's watch it. I haven't really seen the inside before. Ooh, it's an anomaly, but I want to watch the fungal farm come up first. Hooray. All right.
Our initial spectrographic analysis confirmed it. Chromium. To find such a rich deposit of such a rare metal. Important was an understatement.
The geological team couldn't wait to get their hands on the samples, but this was going to prevent the engineering team from smelting the materials for their ceaseless operations. The experts in mission control argued for hours, but the course of the action was clear. So, I mean, a deep rare metal deposit sounds really nice, but especially early on in the game, getting a 10% reduction in terms of the cost of techs, I definitely think studying the chromium deposit seems to be the right choice here. So, and with the Terraforming Initiative, we want to make sure that the pristine Martian surface is kept intact. Curious if that has any implications for my fuel compression, so I guess I need to pick another tech. We're getting close to the point where I can start doing planetary surveys, but we'll leave that for now. Can get more applicants, but again, I think we'll manage what we have right now. I don't want to expand too quickly because that's been my undoing in the past. So, more efficient workers. Decommission's probably going to become important. Yeah. I think decommission first, and then we'll get some more efficient fuel. I am ignoring the farming for now, and this is just because, again, we don't have a reliable source of water, so we're going to just hold off. Although I can definitely afford to be a little more generous with my water. Oh, we'll figure that out later. Really do wish I could see how long this video has been, but I would guess somewhere around 90 minutes, but I think I'm probably giving myself a little more credit than I deserve. It's probably shorter. Okay, so if I want to build the drone hub in a few days, we're generating 300 research now. So what are we looking at here? 5 days, basically. Well, less now, but... And we've got good, efficient botanists coming in, so that's some good news. A new email pops on your screen holding the 3 final applications from the training program. It looks like somebody has been keeping the best for last. The final 3 applications are very impressive. Too bad you'll have to narrow the list down to 1. So we can say a genius, a saint, or a celebrity, and I feel like a genius is probably pretty important. International Mars mission. Why choose? Let's get all 3 of them on board. I would say this should be true for everyone, but we'll bring a genius in. Now, it's a little unfortunate that we wound up bringing our new passengers in already. It'll take us a while we'll make do. So, part of what I want to do on this playthrough is be a little bit better at managing the colony for the long term. So that's going to mean thinking about what kind of supports I can build in. I wanted to make sure we got a fungal farm nice and early. We're eventually going to transition some of these buildings into a centralized service location. I'm going to be able to gain access to metals through that. And that's also going to allow me that offshoot in terms of the farming colony. Now, the important thing about the farming colony... Alright, well, I'm fine with that not working yet. Oh, oxygen, though. We're going to get a little shy on our oxygen needs. Magnetic filtering is a ways off. I don't really want to spend the money on the extra tech, so I think we're just gonna sit by for now. But yeah, so before I build the dome that will contain all of the farming, I'm going to want to make sure that I have these tunnels built first.
We've collected valuable geographic data at the site of the anomaly.
Oh, these are all good. Analysts of the crust yielded rare insights into the geological history of Mars, especially about the ancient Thickean period, in which volcanic activity released immense amounts of sulfur dioxide in the atmosphere. Several key hypotheses of the exogeologists were confirmed by our findings. The scientific community praised the findings, raising the status of our mission in the eyes of humanity. Our sponsor committed additional funds to the mission. So if I want money, I can get it, but really we'll be getting that from exporting rare metals. The extra drone hubs are definitely very welcome, but so are the moisture evaporators. Let's think about this. So it's going to be drone hubs or moisture evaporators. Well, the drone hub will give me access to more consistent maintenance for my water extraction, but the moisture evaporators will be more of a permanent structure. But of course, moisture evaporators go down during dust storms. So I think I'm going to go for the drone hubs. And 12 brave souls will be touching down before too long. I wonder how long it takes a child to become an adult. This is rather important to me just because I want to build another apartment complex, but I don't want to rush it. I was thinking it would be very interesting, the idea of a human that's never seen, that's never seen Earth before. But then I also suppose to such a human, it would seem very strange that, there are humans who haven't seen Mars before. Child is unattended while everybody's just considering eating healthy. This doesn't exactly look, yeah. I'm thinking it's cucumber, not an eggplant. In fact, I'm willing to guess there's no eggplant here at all. I do rather like seeing these little guys charge up. It's very efficient space usage there. I'm not sure. I don't think we're going to have the landing pad available in time. I know we'll have a couple of days to let these guys sit in orbit, but I'm not sure there's any reason for me to delay the activation of the fungal farm. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that we're far enough away that we don't cause too much damage to our infrastructure, but also that we don't get in the way of any expansion. So ideally something in this area, maybe over here in the worst case scenario, because the centralized hub is going to be more over here. So if I have to touch down here, it's not the end of the world. Okay, so I just want to work out what my boundaries are. Oops. Oops. I think that means that I'm not able to... Oh, that was actually a really close approximation. Yeah, see, this is exactly where I wouldn't want it to go, but I think I'm gonna have to live with it, so... Let's watch the arrival. Before we do that, I'll open everything up. All right, now we're ready for a view.
Meteor incoming.
Oh no! Oh Jesus! That's gonna hurt. Alright, well, we'll take our lumps and we'll do our best with what happens. Okay. So we'll turn off the valve. The big problem is the split in our energy. You guys chose an interesting time to visit.
New colonists have arrived.
Apparently the dome has deteriorated as well. Okay, it's exciting to see everybody arrive, but let's see how the repairs are going. Okay, so the pipes are almost back. We'll wait till this is done. Hey, that's good news. Let's get a nice view of the fireworks again. Alright, I'm having a little trouble seeing where the split is. So before we go too far, let's just take a minute to see what's going on there. guess the thing is I don't see it as being split. So yeah, we're right on the border in terms of our oxygen consumption, but I think we'll be okay. When I make another dome, though, I'm definitely going to need to build that infrastructure. So the good news here is I believe we are going beyond the housing. I believe we are going to be able to sustain this colony as long as we get somewhat regular sort of imports from the from Earth. But of course we'll pay for those imports from the rare metals that we'll be bringing in. Or, well, sending back, rather. So the next step's going to be to think about what are my short-term needs, what are my medium-term needs, what are my long-term objectives. Oh, first of all, let's pick up some goodies. So I would like to boost my science as soon as I can. I'll let him just go and pick that up on his own first. Let's keep moving out like this. I guess I want to be a little careful on how I'm using electronics like this, but I think this is a reasonable application because they're self-sustaining now. So these cost 1. Yeah, well, I only have 10. I'll build 1. Leave it to me to put it. So ideally I'd like to have a surplus of 10 for everything. I'm not sure the best way on how to distribute that, unfortunately, so let's get my doctors back. Quite what I had in mind. I suppose the real question is, do I gain anything by waiting to build this apartment complex. Technically, little lighter demand on my power grid and my polymers, but I think we should just build another apartment and be done with it. Another thing I'm gonna do. This doesn't mean that I'm gonna commit to the choice, but a dome somewhere around here would be really nice. So I'm just gonna put a placeholder. Oh, definitely gonna need some precision on this, so. Okay, so let's say one of these two spots. Yeah, this would be a great spot. This is gonna be a pretty big, it's gonna be a pretty big hit on my infrastructure, so. But I think this would probably be the better path, just because this hogs a lot of real estate. This is nice and aligned. So, I do have the resources to be able to build this, but I don't really need it at the moment. It'd be better if I got my decommission protocol, and then we could maybe start slowly shifting some of the amenities into this dome. But that's going to be a longer term project, and ultimately it's going to be so I can build a manufacturing center somewhere around here. Okay. I may want to consider building another battery as well. So one drawback with the way that I'm building these solar panels, one, obviously it's very concentrated, so that's potentially going to cause some problems. The other real drawback behind this is I can probably sneak a little battery just on the side, like that. If I build too many, then it winds up costing me metals, which at some point I'm actually going to want to have more access to. So I definitely have a tendency to overproduce power. But it also, in some cases, winds up saving me when I kind of take leave of my senses, so. It's not a habit I'm going to get rid of right away. Now, there's a rather unfortunate fact, which is that the rare metals are going into this ship, and the fuel's going into this ship. So, one fix that I have for that is to send them on an expedition. So we've got a nice big surplus of food. So now this is a priority. There's going to be a couple of things that does. Number one, they're going to unload the food. They're going to unload the rare metals. Hopefully they don't stop this guy from getting his goodies, but alright, so let's take a look at what our tech is at. So getting closer to robotic swarm, or drone swarm, that's the point where I consider building my new drone hub. And I think what I'm gonna do, say this one gets a 10.
Sector scanned.
Set up a universal depot. Just want to make sure that the coverage is right. Yep. So, the tunnel doesn't have maintenance. Drone hub, I believe, has electronics maintenance. And the water pump will almost certainly have machine parts. Yep. Okay. This is just to make sure that this has what it needs for doing the work. I'll probably need to get the transport to do a little bit more. So this is a very good water area. Some more long-term plans that I sort of have for development would be this will be good for exports. It will be good for generating machine parts. If I want, I can transform the rare metal extraction into electronics production. I think that will probably be one of the last things I worry about getting, though, because with water, that will allow me to build fuel. That will also allow me to build polymers. So really the electronics are sort of this is going to be the hardest for me to construct, and what I can do instead is just make sure that I don't consume as many electronics as I do the other goods. So I'll say potentially 2 more domes in this area, one for farming and one for metal extraction and manufacturing. Now, if I had things my way, we would build a dome in the middle for, actually, you know what? There's no rule saying I can't just put these down and prep. So this would be my science location. And then if I really wanted, I could do a little something like this. Now this has the benefit of Vista. So if I can get some kind of network in place, this would actually not be a bad location for sort of like a farming colony as well. Because I've got 2 water deposits. I've got about 22,000 units of water, and I can just have that thing cranking out food, which will then go to feed these colonies. What's really missing right now are rare metals, and that's eventually going to be a problem when I want to maintain electronics, particularly this region, which is going to have a very high demand for electronics for the science. But these are things for me to deal with a little bit later on. There's no point in getting too stressed out about them, because I am obviously very far away from having scientists in that area. I may also wind up building some research centers in the Central Dome or something else. I'm obviously going to need to find something to do with this location once I hollow it out a little bit. I may still keep the apartments, but actually that'll be hard to justify because there won't be any work for people. So I'll figure out the balance, though. I want to make sure that we've got rare metals, food, yeah, we'll find a way of making this all work. I might even just add a second connection to the farming colony, make it a little bit easier for people to move around. So it does look like we're actually consuming more than we've produced with food. That surprises me a little bit. Oh no, that's apparently the fungal farm produces 6.8 per sol. We consume 3, so this is just going to be going up over time. So what do our comrades have? So it looks like the Church of the New Ark has got some colonists. Japan hasn't colonized Mars yet. Russia has got quite a few people on Mars. They also managed to land a colonist on us because of that dust storm. We seem to be outpacing everyone for research though, so I'm feeling okay about that. At some point I'm also going to need to build a security building. But again, we'll take these things one step at a time. There's no need to rush. Russia. So we need to send them 50 polymers and they will give us a lot of food. I don't think I can agree with that. If it was the other way around, I would consider it. Though, it does invite the question, how did they get so much food? Apparently, they only have 15. Our intelligence is pretty brutal. When Prefecta Mercury gets to her 18th birthday, she's gonna have the apartment building all to herself. By the way, I don't think I've ever shown this off, but we have different dome designs. I just really like the default one though. These all look so cool, but something about the original. I believe I can also change the pipes. I think there might be some other options too in yeah. But again, we'll go with the defaults. So water-wise, it is tempting to put down another fuel refinery. I'm going to start laying down the groundwork for our extension. Is there a better way for me to manage this? Not really. This is a terrible place to put it. I've definitely put myself in a tight spot. You know what? Makes me sad that I'm doing it, but It's still the best way for me to get it onto the grid, unfortunately. But what it will allow me to do is build another fuel refinery. Should take a minute here and just make sure that I'm not putting too much of a demand on the grid. Yeah, I've already got all the extras built, so. I could technically afford to build another one, but I think I'm gonna let the water surplus go by for now. So I think the steps are going to be, so a centralized hub, we'll build that. I'm gonna finish actually maybe I should finish no, centralized hub first. Build the tunnel. Make sure that the water's connected. Actually, you know what, I can already set all this up. Should follow the pipe. I made apparently the one design that's not gonna cut it. So again, we're not building all of this, I'm just getting the groundwork down. Yeah, so all this will be covered. The wind turbine should provide enough power. And then if I want, I have access to even more water. And I think, as a precaution, I'm going to add a pipe valve. Let's put that right here. Now there is a temptation to sort of build a redundancy. Let's see if I can pull that off. I think I can. So this is just in case this area gets hit by a meteorite. We should be able to sort of have a big circuit that keeps us safe. So I'll do one of these. Yeah, this'll do. Not covered for the water, unfortunately, but I'll have to put some thought into that. I think I'll wait until until I'm getting some water from that region. Yeah, I'll also build pipes, probably connected somewhere in here. And I'll put like a valve probably in this corner. We did come into a nice surplus of metal, so we're in reasonably good shape there. Okay. So, the fuel refinery was an unexpected expense. Okay, you know what? I'll bring that down because we could have actually sent this thing back home if they weren't fighting for resources. And that's my fault for not paying closer attention, but we'll speed things up just because we're sort of waiting for... Actually, this is a good question. What am I waiting for? If it's to bring in new people... Well, that's just it. I don't think there's anything I can do until I launch a rocket again. So yes, it does make sense to speed things up. I'll have to make a decision about putting down another landing pad somewhere. But I haven't quite decided where yet, so I'll leave it be for now. I'll make sure things are nice and visually appropriate. Alright, so Russia really wants to get rid of its food, apparently. Try and make things nice to look at. Okay. Now there is a point that I'm going to want to decide to turn these things on. Is that time now, though? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until the Shenyang one goes on its mission. And then I'll consider diverting some of our fuel resources towards GHG emissions.
Research complete.
Yep, good news there. So, drone swarm. Drones being the backbone of most of the heavy and dangerous labor on Mars, it is essential that our hubs have greater operating capacity in order to employ more drones at any given time. I also don't think I read these other ones, so systematic training. Oh yeah, we did do this. Oh, I'm very slow on getting these botanists their performance boost. But for good cause, so. I do want to focus on magnetic filtering next because we do actually have a couple situations where I'll need that. Fuel compression is good. We'll be able to bring more goods in. Decommission protocol will help me with my planning. So the question is, which of the 1500 level techs do I want? I might make an exception for... No, the less fuel is actually important to me. Faster moving drones are very good, and I do want to sort of get as much sort of low-hanging fruit as I can. But for now, I think I'm going to I'm going to rest with what I've got. The fuel compression is particularly helpful, seeing as I'm going to want to turn on the GHG factories before too long. Of course, they're going to need maintenance, so... Now, the real question is, do I want to... Yes, I do. I think I am going to turn this drone hub on. The only thing I might have wanted to wait for would be autonomous drone hubs. But the fact that we're going to have a wind turbine to take care of it should be enough. And we have the Alicanto on its way back to Earth, so I don't think I'm going to have any problems with I don't think we're going to have any problems with importing some more machine parts if I really need it. I am going to turn off the tunnel. I'm going to make the drone hub the highest priority. And we do have metals, concrete, and machine parts. So it wouldn't be enough to build the tunnel, but we're not ready to build the tunnel yet. And obviously this is a little different from what I said I was going to do, which is to build the centralized location first, but... I also think I'm going to build a water tower. This is mostly just to make sure that fuel production keeps going. I've already got the valve where I need it, so... Okay, so let's watch them make the drone hub. See with the home base in the background. Alright, so complication number 1. I don't have power. And actually, while I'm at it, I wasn't originally going to do this. Oh, of course. I'm gonna have to move that. And I'm gonna hook up the whole grid. This is a little neurotic, but I do want to try and get as much coverage as I can. So it may turn out, if I wind up building a base here with these drone hubs, this is actually not a bad spot. I could maintain 3 concrete extractors, as well as service the base with this drone coverage. And actually, again, while I'm not going to commit to it, no. Do want to make sure I have the whole base. Yeah, maybe I wouldn't be able to support the concrete extractor. Again, I'm just living in fantasy land right now. I have a feeling that this is a little too fantastic. What will we do? Something like that. Yeah. But I bet something like that would work. That would work very well, actually. So that would hook me up to my science location. We kind of have the... I mean, it's connected in sort of a superficial way, but I could make some use. So in terms of all this area that I'm not using, I could, especially once I get sort of the metal extraction and the machine part manufacturing down, I could build sort of a wind farm in this area. You know, plenty of space here to build things like wind farms. It's a pretty good argument for this farming colony now. So even though I wouldn't have the sort of the flight option, I think we're still in pretty good shape as far as our infrastructure is concerned. Making slow progress on the Shenyang, but we are producing 15 fuel a day now, so. And we do have room for more if I so choose, but I'd rather not at the moment. So we need another machine part. And we are short on metals, but that should get resolved as well. And the heavy load on these guys should be taken care of as soon as the wind turbines up. Actually, against my better judgment, I'm going to turn off the water extractor until we're ready to use it. That's just going to save me on the machine part maintenance. Unfortunately, it won't save me on the maintenance for these pipes, but it's kind of a cost of doing business at this point. The reason I'm doing that is I would prefer not to draw down any of this deposit until I need to use it. And that'll be when I build my agricultural dome. There's an off chance. Yep, you know what? I think that'll work. I can do something like that. So what we'll wind up with is a connection like that. And then we build a second connection sort of like that. The ideal location for it would probably be... it's a little hard for me to make out the edges, but probably something like... Oh, that wouldn't work. I don't understand why it's so much harder to see the outline. Yeah, something like this. It's not the tidiest looking thing, but it does have one nice advantage, which is it's only taking up this slice of the pie. And actually, if I'm particularly clever about it, let's see if there's a fancy way I can pull that off. Nah, drat. I was trying to think if I could somehow get the tunnel to connect in on this way. I can do something like that. Although, maybe I don't need to connect this farm. No, because I want amenities. So I'd do something like this, something like that. And I'd have 1, 2, 3, 4 farms. Speaking of.
Funding received.
Okay. Princely sum, but farm consumes what? Based on crop, of course. Gonna take a minute and go to the wiki. Sorry for the silence. Reviving Mars wiki. Crops. So the highest water consumption is Ganymede rice. Okay, that seems to be a special crop. So what I'm looking at would be, oh, here we go. Yeah, farm. Soybeans are the, oh no, potatoes, clover. Holy smokes, yeah. We're looking at 2.4 per slice, so if we have 1, 2, 3, 4 farms, that means I would be looking at worst case scenario for, it's 9.6. Okay, so I need 2 water extractors. That's going to mean 1 here, 1 here, and same deal with the farming colony. When we build 1 here, it'll be 1 and 1. And of course, the important thing to remember is that in that particular building, I'm an idiot. Let's just cancel that outright. As far as management is concerned, I have the dome spire. Nope, we don't have water reclamation yet, so recycles up to 70% of the water used in the dome. So, in all likelihood, we wouldn't actually need the full amount of water. In fact, if anything, my plans probably lead me to overproducing food, but I think that's probably a preferable state to be in than just kind of like getting by. What I'm gonna do here. Oh, interesting. This guy apparently is not technically hooked up to the grid yet. Oh, it's because I got that one. That 1 unit split. And we don't have any metal. But my transport guy should be able to help with that, so we've got 19 left around there. Okay, so we'll start with this. And we'll eventually move on. That's a nice deposit. That's going to be 133 metal and 9 polymers. All of that is going to be very welcome. And I'm also going to need to make some decisions in terms of where I want to check next. I think we'll let these scans run by and then we'll make some decisions in terms of what our future expansion looks like. It's a little tempting to start exploring all of these areas, but the important thing to remember is that the water, well, we're already taken care of here. Science, well, again, we're already taken care of here. So everything that we can get in this area currently is available close by. Actually, you know what? There is one thing that I want to take a look at, and are there rare metals? Because that's really the one thing that we're struggling with. When we run out of our existing rare metal deposit, we don't have any other source. And when I want to try and generate electronics, that's going to be particularly tricky. And it looks like the game's not telling me where I'm going to be able to find some more. Okay. So that's worth keeping in mind. This 353 may be all that we have, so it's probably not the worst thing in the world that I am not mining it that efficiently. Now, do I want to bring another ship with passengers or cargo? I'm going to say probably not. So what am I waiting for? Well, I'm waiting for this ship to go on... Oh, you know what? We're going to be able to send our botanists off on their science mission. That'll be a good way to wrap it up. Is our little friend dropping off some fuel? Nope, they're picking up the resources. That's fair. This is so embarrassing. Nope, 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 nope. Apparently I can't shift queue it. So these guys are bringing the refined machine parts. It's actually really far away from where they should be. Oh, it's ready to go. So let's, again, get our nice colony's eye view. I always imagine if this was some kind of a Looney Tunes thing, there'd be a character who picks up the bottle, rubs their eyes watching the rocket go away, pours it out. So of course it means that we're not going to have any food production while they're off on the mission, but we've got a big surplus, so we're in good shape. And we're generating one food more than we consume at the moment. That won't be true forever because we've got a growing colony. Okay. Hopefully they're picking up the metal and putting it towards what I want them to. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, good. The AI is clever enough to realize that this is the priority. When we connect this, these 6 will go online, and what I might do is I might take 2 and hook them up to the command center here.
Sector scanned.
No, I don't think you're doing what I want you to. Oh, yes you are. God bless you, Tron. Apparently this is still not enough. Okay, this is weirding me out now. So this apparently does not count as connected. Okay. We'll follow our little comrade once more. Don't try. Oh no.
Research complete.
Nope.
Anomaly
There are
analyzed.
things for me to do. Okay. Wow, we got a lot done there. So decommission protocols coming up next. We've reached the point where we must do away with the old buildings on Mars and make way for new ones. And then the scarcity of Martian-made rocket fuel options has made our first true contribution towards rocket engine efficiency. So as far as new techs are concerned, it would be interesting to get utility crops. These are going to be a priority, but we should probably deal with what we've got here first. So 20% speed boost is nice. More applicants is probably my higher priority, and it's going to take us a while, so let's do planetary survey. Now there's two reasons I want this, so I should read these properly. So low G drive, an engine design optimized for low gravity environments, and live from Mars, PR research aimed at exposing the benefits and positive aspects of life as a colonist on Mars. What we're going to do here is take planetary survey. So until you cross the bridge of your insecurities, you can't begin to explore your possibilities. Tim Fargo. So this costs as much as comparable technologies. It's going to give me 6 new planetary anomalies, but more importantly, it's going to help me fulfill my mission objective. It's going to bring me to the halfway point of researching 8 terraforming technologies, which is going to give me 100 sponsor research. Now, I don't want to rush this because the next one is also 1,500, but then these will cost 2,000. So will be 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. I think it's 3,000. So we're looking at a total of 3,000. That's going to be 4,000. So that's 7,000. We're looking at about 10,000 research points, which at 300 per sol is obviously going to take us a while, and in the end we would be doing that in order to get extra 100 sponsor research. It's not terrible, but the smarter way to go about it would be to try and get some technologies. So advanced Martian engines, well, what that's going to let me do is that's going to let me do more expeditions like Project Archimedes. These are always scary, although they might be giving me some polymers and metals. I don't know what direction it's coming from. So doing these projects, what that's going to give me is it's going to give me some access to new technologies. It's going to give me access to things that will, better fuel efficiency will allow me to do more of those expeditions. That will get me more technology, which will then allow me to sort of build my secondary sites. They'll allow me to do things like build dedicated science areas, and at that point, it's quite possible that we would be generating about 1,000 research per day. Oh, I'm paused, that's why it's taking forever. And just generally putting the investment in my infrastructure, allowing me to become a better researcher over time, is a little bit better than just trying to... It deposited rock. It's going to help me out a little bit more than just trying to push myself kind of over the edge in terms of the terraforming technologies. Of course, by then, if I'm generating 1,000 a day, 100% improvement's just a 10% boost, which is not terrible, but not, not the most exciting. So there's trade-offs. And looks like my transport's idle again, so let's try and find some goodies for him to pick up. I know he had that nice big deposit off to the side. Question is, do I want to go for it? Yeah, you know what? This is too good to pass up, so it'll keep him nice and busy for a long time. Hopefully it won't be too long for us to hook up the wind turbine. It's tempting to do the polymer blades, but I'm going to hold off on that for now because I may want to build my other dome. Okay, now the moment we've all been waiting for. These little dances are always fun to watch. And you can see all of his friends start moving. And looks like our botanists are able to come back home, so we'll put this on the launch pad. Again, I'm still probably going to have to build a second one for the cargo rocket, but I might as well take advantage of the landing pad I already have. Hopefully my botanists will be able to reach. They should. Yeah. If they can reach the farm, and then they can head home. Here are our brave heroes. And I think I'm gonna get us set up for it's gonna be a tricky one, but I think we're gonna go for the harder mission first. And I think that brings us to the end of our time together. I'm obviously rather sorry to be going away from such a wonderful game, But this looks like a wonderful place to finish off. We've got our first human born on Mars. We produced food, we researched a breakthrough. It's going to be taking us a while to get these other advances, but we'll certainly do our best. I think in the future, once we get a little bit more fuel efficiency, we'll start turning on the GHG factory in order to be able to. I wish I could. Here's what I'm gonna do. There we go. It's not an efficient way of doing it, but... Oh, now I booted out one of the... Okay. Perfecta. Let's get you back in the... Of course, I've got my enthusiastic... Oh, wait, where'd my enthusiast go? Oh, Perfecta. She's our first Martian born. She's working as a grocer. It's exciting. So yeah, tonight we didn't just give birth to the first Martian born. They grew up, they got a job. We are producing a surplus of food. We've got our infrastructure in place to be able to build a farming colony if I want. We've got a couple of sites staked out for some additional benefits. And we've got a plan in place to be able to explore the rest of the Martian surface. So things are looking up for this particular playthrough. Let's lock in our games. And I don't normally finish this way, but I want to share you one thing that I'm very fond of about this game. Return to Earth. Please don't go. The drones need you. They look up to you. Are you sure you want to exit the game? This references a very wonderful game, possibly my favorite game ever. And if you're still around at the end of this stream, and you, well, not just stream, but VOD, if you happen to know what game this is referencing, I would love it if you left a comment and you said what game it is. Because I know there's one other person who is very fond of it, who just recently picked up the game. And on that note, I'll wish you a lovely evening, and we'll see you next time I do one of these relaxation streams.